Nanny's wait outside. My sister Margot smirked, positioning herself between me and the ACU doors. My daughter was coding behind those doors. I could hear the alarms, the frantic calls, the chaos of people fighting to save her life. And I stood frozen in that hallway, blocked by my own flesh and blood from reaching my child. Then the doors burst open. Jonathan stood there in surgical scrubs. His eyes found mine, and he said 5 words that changed everything. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from. My name is Camille Ashford. I grew up Camille Whitfield. The Whitfields were old Connecticut money, the kind that whispered through trust funds and country club memberships. My mother Evelyn had opinions about everything: the right schools, the right marriages, the right kind of success. I married the wrong kind. Jonathan was a surgical resident when I met him. Not a banker. Not an heir. A man who worked for everything he had. A doctor, my mother said at our first family dinner. How practical. She meant it as an insult. Surgeons cut people open, dear. Hardly distinguished. Jonathan heard every word, smiled politely, finished his dinner, and never returned to my parents' home. We married 6 months later at City Hall. My family didn't attend. 15 years later, Jonathan became chief of surgery at Massachusetts General, the same hospital where our daughter Emma was now fighting for her life. Emma was 12 years old, bright, fearless. Her father's steady hands and my stubborn streak packed into one extraordinary kid. She collapsed during soccer practice 2 days ago. An undiagnosed heart defect. The kind that hides until it strikes without warning. Surgery was scheduled for this morning. Jonathan couldn't operate, but had assembled the best team in the hospital. Dr. Patricia Okafor. Pediatric cardiothoracic. One of the top 5 in the country. It wasn't supposed to go wrong. But Emma's heart stopped on the table. Code blue. I was in the family waiting room when the alarm sounded. Alone. Terrified. Running before I'd processed what it meant. That's when Margot appeared. I hadn't told my family Emma was sick. Hadn't spoken to them in years. But hospitals are small worlds, and someone on the board had mentioned the chief of surgery's daughter was in emergency cardiac surgery. That information traveled through Connecticut until it reached my mother, who dispatched Margot to represent the family. Not support. Not love. Represent. Margot reached the nurse's station before me. Already speaking to security. There's been a mistake, she said, pointing at me. That woman is the nanny. The real mother is on her way. The security guard looked at me. Yoga pants. Wrinkled sweater. No makeup. Hair unwashed for 2 days. He saw exactly what Margot wanted him to see. Ma'am. I'm going to have to ask you to wait in the designated area. He's my daughter. I'm her mother. That's what she keeps saying. Margot's voice was soft with false concern. The poor thing is very attached. But family only. I could hear Emma through those doors. Every alarm. Every shout. Every second was a second I wasn't with my child. Please. He's my daughter. I need to be with her. Hospital policy is very clear, he said. He wasn't cruel. He was following procedure. He had no idea he was being used as a weapon. I'm her mother, I said again. Barely a sound. 15 years of exile. 15 years of building a life they refused to acknowledge. And now when Emma might be dying, my sister was using that estrangement as ammunition. She had spent 15 years waiting for a moment like this. And she chose my daughter's worst day to use it. I looked at the ICU doors. I could still hear the alarms. And then the doors burst open. Jonathan stood in the doorway in surgical scrubs. He had left the observation deck the moment he heard the code called. He hadn't waited. He hadn't delegated. He had come. His eyes found mine instantly. Then moved to the security guard. Then to Margot. Then back to me. 5 words. Why is my wife in the hallway? The security guard's face drained of color. Sir. Dr. Ashford. This woman, we were told she was not family. This woman, Jonathan said, his voice the kind of quiet that fills a room completely, is Camille Ashford. My wife of 14 years. Mother of the child currently fighting for her life in that room. Who told you she wasn't family? Every eye in that corridor moved to Margot. Her smirk was gone. Confusion, then recognition, then something very close to terror. There was a misunderstanding. He thought what exactly? Jonathan stepped toward her. You thought you'd prevent a mother from reaching her dying child. You thought you'd use hospital security to keep your own sister from her daughter. I didn't know that. You grew up in the same house. You knew exactly who she was. You knew exactly what you were doing. He turned back to the guard. Get my wife inside now. Escort this woman off hospital property. Jonathan. I grabbed his arm before he moved. Emma. His expression changed. Something raw and exhausted and relieved all at once. She's stable. Patricia got her back. She's going to be okay. The relief nearly dropped me to the floor. I let it hold me for 3 seconds. Then I walked through those doors. And I didn't look back at Margot. Not once. Not ever again. The aftermath was swift. Margot was escorted from the building. She had impersonated a family representative and filed a false report. The hospital documented everything. Jonathan didn't press charges. Asked him not to. Because I didn't want Emma's recovery overshadowed by drama. But consequences came anyway. The story spread through the same Connecticut network that had brought Margot to the hospital in the first place. Did you hear about the Whitfield girl? Tried to keep her own sister from seeing her dying niece. Called her the nanny. Generations of charitable giving. Board memberships. Social prominence. Cracked under the weight of what Margot had done in that hallway. My mother called 3 days later. Camille, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. I deleted it without responding. 6 months later my parents showed up at our door. Jonathan answered. We'd like to see our granddaughter. No, he said. You don't get to see her. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Your daughter tried to prevent Camille from being with Emma while she was dying. It was cruelty. Deliberate. Calculated. Designed to punish Camille for marrying someone you considered beneath her. He closed the door. They never came back. Emma recovered fully. 2 weeks in hospital. 3 months of recovery. Then she was back. Stronger. She asked about what happened in the hallway. Your Aunt Margot made a mistake, I told her. She told the hospital I wasn't your mom. Why would she do that? Because some people can't accept when others are happy. Emma considered this with 12-year-old seriousness. That's really stupid. Yes, baby. It really is. Are we going to see them again? No. She nodded with the clarity children have. Good. I don't want people like that around. I think about that hallway sometimes. The alarms. The doors. Those 5 words cutting through everything like a blade. My sister spent 15 years building a case against me. She chose the worst moment of my life to use it. But Jonathan walked out of surgery for me. Not for the chief of surgery's wife. For me. That's the difference between the family you're born into and the family you build. One will use your worst day against you. The other will walk through any door to find you. Emma is healthy. Jonathan is my partner. The Whitfields are strangers. That's not a tragedy. That's the best possible ending.